Hey everybody, welcome to the Mana Leek. I'm John as always, and today I wanted to talk about my pre-release experience and some underperformers, overperformers, and one card I really want to talk about from Theros Beyond Death. So I played 3 pre-releases this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can go check out the pre-release vlog for that, where you get a little bit more of a casual sort of vlog style approach to my pre-release. But there's some cards I want to talk about today. So we're going to start off with an overperformer here, Loathsome Chimera, and to a lesser extent, Underworld Ragehound. Underworld Ragehound I was already pretty sold on. I thought the 3-1 for 2 was going to be pretty decent. For Loathsome Chimera, a 4-1 for 3, it's a little bit more expensive and still pretty weak, but it comes back so easily that it will eat, 1, 2, maybe 3 creatures over the course of the game, and that's a pretty darn good creature. You obviously need to be attacking and casting spells that are going to the graveyard to be able to fill this, hopefully paired with black, of course, with the green, and things like Timmerick Calls the Dead or Mire Triton, just things that are going to fill your graveyard up anyways, are great with this card. It's surprisingly fine. It's obviously still not going to be a very high pick in draft, but it's a card that I'm probably going to include the first of most of the time, and I don't think I would have beforehand. An underperformer up next is Warbriar Blessing. Now don't get me wrong, it is still totally fine. It's one of the only ways to remove non-enchantment creatures in green. You're gonna play it. But the fact that it does not increase power makes it just so much weaker than many fight spells we've seen. Prey Upon was amazing the first time we got it in Innistrad when Fight was brand new and just introduced as a form of green removal. Prey Upon has now fallen way down on my pick order. Warbriar Blessing, the toughness boost is nice, but it's not quite enough. It doesn't build your creatures up. They don't get that ability to punch through what they couldn't have before. Now, being an enchantment, it enables Constellation. Hopefully you could target a hero with it or something, and that would give the power boost that you're looking for this. But yeah, it really underperformed for me. It's still fine. You'll still pick it moderately highly-ish. You'll still always play it because you have to. It's the way that you get to remove stuff in green. But yeah, it didn't feel as good as coming off of Outmuscle in Throne of Eldraine. Up next, another overperformer, Shimmerwing Chimera. This overperformed in part because I don't think I fully read it. I thought that on ETB it bounced an enchantment. It does not. It is every single upkeep, which is absolutely insane. Being able to shift an aura around every single turn, being able to shift around your removal auras every single turn if you want to, being able to re-trigger your omens or re-trigger Constellation, etc. There's a massive amount of versatility built into what is already a totally solid 3/2 flyer for 4. Shimmerwing Chimera is great. I can definitely see myself first picking that if the pack is like even a little bit weak. Another underperformer here, we've got Nylea. Now it's Nylea because that's who I played with, but in reality, it's all of the gods except for Klothys. The gods are really hard to turn on, it turns out. 5 devotion is actually a lot of devotion in this set. Like I kind of mentioned in the set review, I don't remember what card it is, if it was the gods or not, but I mentioned, hey, we're coming off of Throne of Eldraine where, yeah, every creature on your battlefield was white or black or green. But here you're going to be 2 colors, and you may play your god and have no creatures of the matching color on the battlefield. You might be in a great spot and have 5 creatures and have 0 devotion, or I guess 1 devotion to green. So the gods, you just cannot expect them to be turned on most of the time unless you are in fact a Throne of Eldraine looking deck that is heavy 1 color. So you're really relying on the other abilities. Now Klothys, of course, her ability is incredible. Heliod's ability is pretty darn good. So Heliod is maybe not quite included in this discussion. The rest of them, though, they just fall off a decent bit, with I think Nylea being probably the second worst. I do think Perforos would be the worst, because if you're not turning him on, he's not going to be a big creature. Giving your creatures haste is an overrated benefit. It's a good thing, but you don't want to be paying a whole bunch of mana for it, which you do for Perforos. And sneaking something in, it doesn't matter, because if you can sneak it in and it can get in for damage, you're getting in for damage anyways. You didn't need Perforos and the 5 mana to cast him and the 4 mana to activate him, etc. Nylea as well, you just gotta hope that top of your card is actually, or top card of your library is actually a creature, and for me it was a land 100% of the time. Yeah, the gods just underperformed. I'll keep an eye on draft, because perhaps in draft you can actually push closer to the devotion that you need, but so far they're underperforming. Back to an overperformer, we've got Nessian Wanderer. Nessian Wanderer looked okay to me, but wow, it really, really works out well, especially if you can get a certain mindset into your head. You're going to look at 3 cards on top of your library. You're going to be looking for a land to put into your hand, and you're going to do that. You're a human being. You're going to look at the other 2 cards, and you're going to see your Planeswalker go to the bottom of your deck, and that's going to feel bad. But it doesn't matter. That Planeswalker, before you looked at the top 3 cards of your deck, was anywhere in your deck. It was already on the bottom, perhaps. Perhaps it was already on the top. Maybe it was in the middle. It literally doesn't matter where that card was because it was random. Now it's on the bottom. It's still random. It hurts, and of course, if you desperately needed that card, oops, but you didn't know that card was there unless you scryed, in which case you should have thought about that. But yeah, you have to be able to just let those 2 cards go. They were random cards. They were already potentially on the bottom. Once you're able to just completely divorce yourself of the feelings about those 2 cards that you're throwing away, this card just feels fantastic. It's a 1/3, so it blocks fine. 4 is definitely the special number here, and people are definitely going to start valuing 4 power creatures, so this doesn't block super well against the things that I think are going to be the real threats and the real role players in this format, but it blocks decently at the start, and then man, it thins your deck. It makes sure that you're hitting your land drops. It's just really, really, really good. Nessian Wanderer has gone way up in my pick order. The last underperformer that we'll talk about is Setessan Skirmisher. This is a little bit of a hold-in or a stand-in for all little 2-drops. I played Setessan Skirmisher in my Friday night event. I thought, hey, it's a 2-drop, it's a 2/1, it's a piker, that's okay. Every time I play a constellation and I've got an enchantment, I've got a number of them, it'll be a 3/2, cool. But like I said, 4 is the special number. There are a lot of 3/4s. There's a 1/4. There's a lot of 4 or higher toughness, and a 2/1, a 3/2. Live the dream. Play 2 enchantments, make it a 4/3. It may not get through. And a lot of 2-drops do that. A lot of 2-drops in this format are just too weak. And I think a lot of people are going to get stuck on that. I know at the pre-releases, a lot of people would stress out about their pools and they would say, oh, I don't have enough 2-drops, so I can't play this color. Don't worry about your 2-drops too much in this format. I think this format has a bit of a clog at kind of the 3/4 drop slot with 4 toughness, and you're going to need stuff that can get through that. You know, make sure your 4-drop is a Voracious Typhon. Make sure it's a 4/4. Make sure your 3-drop is a Loathsome Chimera, a 4/1. Don't get too stressed out about having those 2-drops, those little 2/2s, those 2/1s, because they fall off so hard. Of course, you can play them if you're going to be flooding the board super fast, attacking super hard and fast, or if you're going to be definitely auraing them up and making them bigger. But if your plan is to have sort of like a core set, good amount of 2-drops to get through their 3/3s, you're going to be in trouble here. So be very careful with that. Setessan Skirmisher definitely underperformed, and just kind of most 2/2s for 2 and 2/1s for 2 and stuff like that really didn't have a great home this weekend. Our final overperformer is All the Omens. I was already happy with the Omens. They already looked solid, but boy, they just do work. Triggering Constellation at instant speed, being able to something that you hold up mana for if you need removal or your counterspell, and oops, they didn't play anything worthwhile. I get to flash in an Omen is great. Ditto, getting to keep that mana up for your removal or whatever, and then they didn't do anything. Getting to sack and scry is great. The Omens are just fantastic. They are going to be like a very high mid-pack pick, I think. They're just pretty darn solid. I like all of the Omens. I don't even know what my favorite would be. I think the black is definitely in the running because single mana instant speed Raised Dead is really good. That's a Raised Dead that gets me excited. The blue one is great. The red one is Shock, which is fine. The green one's Ramp. The white one is the worst, and I still really like it. So the Omen's super overperformed, and they're just great cards. The final card we're going to talk about today is Minions Return, because I'm not done talking about that card. People still undervalue that card. They still don't realize how good this card is. This card is fantastic. If your opponent is playing removal on your creatures, or if they're using combat tricks in combat to kill your creature and keep theirs alive, this card is 2 and a black, counter that spell, plus re-trigger the creature's ETB effect. That's fantastic for black. If your opponent's creatures are better than yours and they're dying in combat, they're, trading off because they have to. This is 2 and a black mind control for those creatures. If you combine this with a Mire's Grasp, you have a 5 mana mind control spell in black. If especially you're in the black-red sacrifice deck, you can jam this on a creature that you're going to sacrifice, and then it comes back. You didn't even have to technically sacrifice it. The re-triggering of the ETB effect is huge. The Constellation trigger from the minion's return is huge. The card is great. My caveat here, I've seen some people do this. Never, ever, ever play this card unless the creature is in the process of dying. Blockers have been assigned, combat tricks have been assigned, removal spell is on the stack. You are literally, after this resolves, going to sacrifice the creature. Those are the only times you should play this card. It is an instant speed spell. It is not an enchantment. Do not play this just because you want to use your mana up. It completely shows your plan to your opponent. The element of surprise is gone. It's going to really hurt the value of this card if you're playing it just because you have the mana and you've got nothing else to do with it. Keep this back, pretend it's an instant speed spell, and you'll be pretty happy with it. Give Minions Return a try. I think it's super, super, super undervalued right now. So that's going to wrap it up for a bunch of the cards that I thought underperformed, overperformed, and me just raving about Minions Return even more. Let me know what you overperformed or underperformed with over this weekend or over your drafts or whatever you've been doing in the comments down below. I always want to hear what people are doing and what's working, what's not working. You can, of course, always check out the Pack 1 Pick Ones that we'll have starting tomorrow, where I'll talk about what I'll pick one first out of a pack, pretending that it's a draft. We've got drafts on Spiky Saturday. We had the first one last Saturday. They'll be coming every Saturday. And of course, we'll have more top 10 lists and stuff like that. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can always let me know in the comments down below. And you can find me over on Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. You can find me at patreon.com/TheManaLeek if you want to become a backer that way. Work your way towards getting a Mana Leak playmat. Get in the running for those Pack 1 Pick 1 cards each week, or just help the channel out. Join the Discord as well. It's a great place to hang out. You can always go to inkedgaming.com/TheManaLeek if you want to let them know that I sent you. It helps the channel out, and they've got great products. I've been using their playmats for years and years and years and years and years and years. Of course, the best way, the easiest way, the simplest way, the cheapest way, like, share, subscribe. If you do have any questions, comments, or suggestions, though, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.